Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about That's Amor. That's Amor is an American romantic comedy that tells the story of Sophia, a graphic designer who's fired from her assistant job and breaks up with her boyfriend after seeing him cheating on her. She moves back in with her mother to get over her ordeal, during which she participates in Spanish cooking lessons that are co-hosted by Matthias. The two take a liking to each other, starting off as friends before eventually hinting at something more, but Sophia is reluctant to pursue things further with Matthias, not wanting to break her heart again the second time so soon, leaving her to wonder if Matthias truly is the missing ingredient in her life. I was ready to hate on this movie after I finished watching it, but after thinking about it more, I don't think it's that bad, although it's definitely not great either. It's just another mediocre Hallmark Channel level romance flick that does its job decently enough, but doesn't strive for more beyond that. The main character, Sophia, took a long time for me to get used to. She has pretty much every problem a female lead in a rom-com could possibly deal with, so while she is sympathetic to an extent, it's only because she's the main character who the audience is supposed to root for, and not exactly an inspired one. On top of this, I wasn't a fan of how sarcastic her attitude was toward other characters. I understand that sarcasm is an acquired taste as far as humor goes, but for me, her sarcasm came off less as dry wit and more just plain rudeness. It made it difficult for me to feel bad for her struggles when she was always off-putting toward others. As the story progresses, she starts to mellow out a bit, and the audience gets to see more of her dedication to graphic design, and it was great to see her pursue a goal outside of the romance. One could chalk up her earlier attitude to being depressed over her life circumstances, but its execution was still more mean-spirited than it needed to be. The other lead character, Matthias, is okay by himself, and definitely a breath of fresh air compared to Sophia. He's a lot more relaxed and humble, working alongside his uncle to teach cooking lessons at the family restaurant, and he brings a positive vibe to this movie to offset Sophia's negativity. Despite this, there's not much else to say about him as a character. He does have a girlfriend, but the movie never takes advantage of this concept to any dramatic effect, and his dream to open his own restaurant is never explored much either. There's a lot of potential behind his background, but in the end it's surface level at best. The chemistry between the two leads takes a while to develop, but I like that it happens more organically and isn't love at first sight. The two take time to get to know each other as friends first, before evolving into something like a couple, and their couple status feels less official, which makes it even more natural. What I appreciated most about the romance were the cultural differences between the two. Sophia gradually picks up bits of Spanish that she uses to communicate later on, while Matthias learns more about American cuisine and starts experimenting with it. These are only little things, but it's these little things that make the two more adorable over time. This being said, I found that the attempts to build romantic tension for them didn't work as well as they should have. There are moments where Sophia and Matthias are laughing and having a good time being friends and all that, then all of a sudden one of them will say or do something suggestive before they go back to being friendly. Something about the romance feels awkward in its approach. The first kiss scene was the worst example, as it happens not just out of nowhere, but sort of off camera as well, as Sophia leans forward in a way that doesn't look like a kiss at first until it actually happens, and I ended up being just as confused as Matthias when it did. The comedy ended up being a mixed bag along with the romance too. It suffers the worst in the opening act, which is full of lame slapstick that usually follows right after a dramatic scene, like when Sophia is fired or finds her ex is cheating on her, so it clashes pretty hard with the tone. It's not so much of a problem later on, but it made the first act pretty hard to sit through. The movie becomes a lot funnier once things with Sophia and Matthias are underway, with characters dropping surprisingly funny lines. My favorite one was when Sophia goes to a Zumba class with her mother, and they talk to a woman who briefly mentions a guy's name, and after they leave, Sophia asks who that guy is, to which her mom responds, "Oh, she has sex with him." The best thing about this movie is the food aspect that revolves around the story. There's just something satisfying about seeing food prep of the various Spanish recipes step by step, how it brings characters closer together, and how much of an impact it ends up having on Sophia. I also have to say that the head chef who leads the cooking classes was a ton of fun. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy turned out to be an actual chef in real life. He radiates charisma and injects a lot of energy into the story, and really helps balance out Sophia's negativity in the beginning. There's some great scenery and location shots of the California landscape as well to go along with the delicious food that everyone cooks. The filmmakers definitely did their best with including as much eye candy into this movie as possible. However, some subplots get mixed in with this scenery that don't serve much purpose to the story. There's a part where Sophia's ex-boyfriend Richard shows up out of the blue and nothing ever comes out of it. Sophia makes it clear not once, but twice that she's not interested in being with him again, and then he just disappears for the rest of the movie. I feel like the filmmakers wanted Richard to add tension to Matthias's arc, but they didn't know what exactly to do with him, so he sort of of just floats around and causes aimless drama a few times. The same thing happens with Matthias's girlfriend, Irina, which isn't worth mentioning because she only shows up in one scene and never again thereafter. At least the inevitable breakup between the two leads isn't explosive and overdramatic like it is in so many other rom-coms. As with the rest of their relationship, this event is natural in how it happens and is interesting to see play out, even if they're just as inevitable to end up back together again. The movie has a few basic messages worth noting, regarding the importance of doing work that feels fulfilling and to avoid staying in toxic situations to avoid losing oneself. These aren't messages that haven't been seen before, but they're at least consistent as the characters reflect these messages over the course of the story. Overall, That's Amor is an average rom-com that has some flavor to it, but feels more like an appetizer than a main course. If you like romantic comedies and you want to watch one that's multicultural and food-oriented, I think you might enjoy this movie. The polarizing nature of the two leads, the iffy comedy, and semi-predictable story structure add up to create a decent but ultimately passable romance flick. It has all of the fundamental ingredients, but it's missing that secret one to make it stand out. What did you think about this movie? Did you like the food-oriented aspects surrounding it, or was the romance not to your liking? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of That's Amor. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the Korean action movie Soul Vibe. Bye bye!